Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? Can you hear me
Good.
okay with one earbud?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Of course, my doorbell just rings.
Yeah, do you have a pizza coming in? Should you take
No,
that?
no, it's my parents were dropping off stuff in their garden. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, they have like onions and garlic and stuff ready. So they're like, we cut you up a bunch and we're dropping it off for you. I'm like, thank you.
See, Toronto's like my dad's a gardener and he's a hell of a
Yeah.
gardener for sure. Like Toronto people are
Okay.
gardeners for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. We're like out towards I don't know like the biggest city that you know it this way. So like I'm in Kitchener, but my parents are a little bit further in Wellesley. Like towards like
Oh, see,
Stratford
I
way.
haven't been to Wellesley. Oh, wow. That's gorgeous. Is
Yeah.
it like is it a town or is it like a town close to a town, you know?
So Wellesley's a town, and there's like little surrounding, like almost like hamlets or like villages, whatever you want to call them, that
Yeah.
are so tiny that they don't really count as towns. But yeah, it's all Wellesley Township. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Hi everyone, thanks for logging on. So if would you do you prefer Laura or Laura? How do you pronounce it?
Well, technically, my name isn't Laura because that mean that I'd have a
Yeah,
U in my name, and my name doesn't have a
yeah,
U.
yeah,
So there's no silent U. There's no, there's just no
yeah,
U. So it's definitely
yeah.
pretty much me. And every Lara
Mhm.
has been named after
Yeah.
this one movie that was called Doctor
Okay.
Zhivago. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like that thing that, like, like now it's even
Mhm.
outdated to say Legend of the Fall, but like it was like a
Yeah.
Legend of the Fall for the moment, right? So everybody had to name their kid Lara. So for the most part,
Okay.
like all the Laras are named after
Yeah.
that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know one kid in one of my kids' classes, her name is spelled Laura, like yours, but they pronounce it Laura. So that's what I wanted to ask.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's from the
Yeah,
culture she's from or something. Because I know it's a Russian
maybe.
name, but I'm not
Yeah.
Russian.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I always like to ask just to make sure because of like the whole, I don't know if you saw me mispronounce Nir's name.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's spelt like sir, but it's pronounced Nir. Like, because it's spelled Nir, but it's
that's
actually Nir.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like
I
people want,
always, yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, people want to spell my name. My last name is Tai, but it sounds like Thai.
Yeah,
So people always want
yeah.
to do a Tie, or they want
Oh,
to
really?
make it French for some reason. Then they go Tay. So they're like
Oh,
Lara Tay. And I'm like, no, it's Thai.
yeah,
Like the Thai, I guess.
yeah. I guess it depends on what languages people might learn as well, right? Because
Yeah.
like the English language is the reason that I would pronounce Nir Nur instead of Nir, right?
Yeah.
But he's French. Yeah. So I guess it depends on that, right? And that's why I always like to confirm how do you say your name?
I appreciate that because I had like when I was a teenager, I had such sensitivity
Yeah.
about that because I'm like,
Yeah.
as it is, I have a
Mm.
name that's not even necessarily close to my
Yeah.
ethnicity, and I want it still to
Mm.
be pronounced right. I never watched the movie. I
Yeah.
tried, but I fell asleep. It's one of those
Yeah.
things. I
Mm.
appreciate you asking and clarifying.
See, I've never had issues with people pronouncing my name growing up because it's pretty easy. It was Jennifer Scott.
Yeah.
Like that's simple. But since I've become a gardener, people drop the DI and pronounce it Garner when they say it really fast, and then I get confused
Oh,
online with the other Jennifer Garner. It's like, no, we're not the same person.
yeah, because you
Yeah,
fully got a D in your name. So that's a
yeah,
hard consonant. You can't ignore
yeah.
that.
When they pronounce it really fast, they go Jen Garner. It's like they drop the DI. It's like, oh, okay. And that's why Google keeps confusing us and other people on Instagram. They keep tagging me in her stuff because our names are so similar. Because her middle name is also Ann. So you got Jennifer Ann Garner and Jennifer Ann Gardiner. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because the only
Yeah.
difference between your
The
fame and hers is the
DI.
D, just a DI, right?
Yeah, just the
You're
DI, the
so
duh.
close.
So it's just been funny because ever since I started acting and doing interviews, people are constantly tagging me into things. They're constantly confusing me when they see my username because I don't think that they notice that she doesn't have a
Oh,
DI. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
she's
So it's
on her. So I not that I
yeah,
follow her, but I've seen her on the gram because
yeah,
I watch everything on the gram pretty much. But
yeah.
she does cooking shows or she does cooking stuff with
She
with
does.
her channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I do baking and cake decorating. So it's really
Darn.
weird.
How are they really going to separate you guys two?
Yeah, I started cake decorating when I was like 20, so I've been doing it longer than her. But she's been acting longer than I have, so yeah, it's vice versa. But yeah, it's quite confusing if you don't know. But most people know that she's more famous than I am, so I just say I'm the Canadian version. So.
Yeah, and now she's doing baking shows.
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of people logging on. So for those of you who don't know you, could you give a little background on yourself?
Well, I'm an actor in Toronto. I worked, every odd job you could just to keep this going. And now I'm in the community and I've just been kind of foraying into TV now. So just doing the grind, daily grind is what it is. But I had a lot of theater and a lot of training and stuff like that. So that's where I spend most of the happy days. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a preference for the type of acting you like to do? Like, do you prefer TV over film and theater, or is it just that you're not doing TV stuff?
I did a lot of improv comedy and singing choirs and musicals. So I've had like such an extensive theater life that for the last couple of years, I've been like, the goal was to sort of get back into TV and film. And so now it's just been like, film and TV, and I've been auditioning like crazy.
That's awesome, though. Do you find that you're getting like a certain genre? Are you getting comedy, or are you getting more like the dramas? Or?
You know what? Yes. And here's the thing. It's like, I didn't necessarily say to myself, I'm going to be a comedic actress. I just loved comedy. Like, I found that every show I watched was comedy, and I had some really decent friends that were so funny that I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to be a funny girl? Like, to be just that witty in conversation. And I just sort of cower behind them until I started taking improv training, and then I got all these comedy chops. So now, like, most of my auditions are usually for comedy. Yeah.
That's awesome. I rarely get a comedy audition, but when I do, I'm like, it's so fun because for once I actually get to use my personality. I tend to get like the thrillers, the horrors, like the dramas, like the dark and gritty stuff, which I don't mind doing. Ideally, like my ultimate goal is to do action, right?
Oh, okay.
I love action stuff. Ideally, that's where my preference is. But I get a lot of like the dark and like creepy auditions. But when I do get a comedy, like it's really fun. So that's awesome that you get to do comedy. But it's a whole different skill set too, right?
It is, but I don't know. I think the heart of it, there's always comedy in any situation. So I find that like, comedic actors can be the most like fierce dramatic actors. They're almost scary because they're able to do comedy so strongly and then jump into dramatic. I think it shares, I think it shares the same heart. It's just that it will just express itself comedy or express itself drama, right? But there's some
almost like dramedy too.
There's
dramedy is really fun.
We never have a dramatic. Well, I guess it's in. I'm thinking romantic com. But then you're gonna have a dramatic drama. I can't even say it. Like a dramatic romantic comedy or something like that.
Yeah. Like my favorite ones to watch are dramas or action or thrillers where like every once in a while they throw in some comedic relief. It's like, okay, I get a break here for a funny moment, and then they go back into like the action and stuff and like intense and all. We need that comedy moment. So those are my favorite.
You do. It makes the scarier moments scarier, to be honest. Because then you're like, you're laughing and you know that you're in suspension of disbelief and you're kind of like, I know it's coming. And now you're in anticipation. But I do everything. Like, it's drama to comedy. It's just that it's interesting that like I just naturally just started enjoying watching everything Dave Chappelle and just like all the comedy that's out there. And then just kind of like it just... Because for me, I used to love the show called In Living Color.
Okay,
And like sketch comedy and SNL and things like that were just always on my. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I used to love SNL. I don't really have. I haven't watched it in a really long time. But Jimmy Fallon and what's the other Jimmy? Jimmy Kimmel. I tend to watch them a lot because they have a lot of funny moments on their shows. What else do I watch? I don't really watch SNL anymore, but I hear that there's some really good skits on there still.
They always do. Like every year, I think SNL has a great shiner, and then when in doubt, just bring Jim Carrey on the show, and then it's a redeemer or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I love Jim Carrey. He's so awesome. He was in, most recently I saw him in Sonic because the kids were watching Sonic. He just brings, even though it's a kid's movie, he brings so much to that role. It's just, nobody else could do what he does.
he does.
Yeah.
But
But
I
Robin
love
Williams
like,
was close. Yeah.
yeah. But I love his like personal journey. Like he's been doing a lot of like introspective
Yeah.
kind of video work now. And I appreciate him
Yeah.
talking about humanity, just like
Oh yeah.
he's earned so much money and everybody keeps on talking about his story about projection, how he wrote himself a check
Yeah.
and he cashed it.
Oh,
But then
I
now
watched
it's,
that. Yeah.
yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's so possible because the mind is so powerful. You really can kind
Oh
of
yeah.
like, not magic, you can really just kind of, human determination is quite powerful, you know?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on Coffee Chats, how powerful your mind is, and you speak your things your life into existence. And if you haven't, for those joining, watched that story, look up Jim Carrey's background story of how he wrote himself. What was it? Was it a $5 million check? I think it was
10
five.
million.
10 million. Okay, and then he put it in his wallet and he carried it around for a certain amount of years, and then he ended up burying that check with his dad, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Because he had finally like made it, and he wanted that to go with his dad in the grave.
Yeah.
It's such an incredible story. But he believed he was gonna make it, and he wrote himself that check, and he booked his first major role, and I think it was for that amount, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember the story correctly.
Yeah, for the mask. For the mask.
Yeah.
What
So
I think
it's
is,
just,
mhm.
yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I just think it's just so powerful that now of all people, like when now he's talking about how in a way, you know, human connection is important, your spirituality is
Yeah.
important, and just tapping into the everyday is just powerful, not mundane. It's like you want to listen to more because doesn't everybody want to write a $10,000 check to themselves and cash it?
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? It's only.
But then for him to now say that, you know, like I've done that. I've done the top of the hill, and I know that there's more inside of me. And if I keep exploring me, that's more powerful than that $10 million check ever was.
Yeah, and it's for those of you like who don't really comprehend the mind. Your mind talks you out of things before you're even ready to get out of them. Sometimes, the simplest example for me would probably be trying to do a chin up. I never thought I'd be able to do a chin up, and then I started doing more chin ups, and then I started doing holds for chin ups, and then I would talk myself out of the hold sooner than my muscles were ready to get out.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd be doing the hold. I'd be holding it for like 10 seconds. Like, okay, no, I can't do anymore. This I'm just gonna drop down. Where in reality, I tried it again a couple days later, and I could hold it longer. And like I couldn't have developed possibly more muscles in those couple days that would have allowed me to do that. It's just my brain talked me out of it sooner than I was ready to do it because your brain's trying to keep you safe. So when you're trying something new, it's like, no, let's just play it safe here. Let's just like give up right now, right? And you just Eric Johnston today had a really great quote that your dreams and everything good is on the other side of fear. Yeah. And it's so true, right? If you just step over that fear, that's where all the magic happens.
Well, fear is your friend, actually. It's just us misinterpreting the cues of fear is what puts us in lockdown. Fear was designed to sort of keep you from getting eaten by bears. So that's like a positive thing. Now there aren't necessarily bears unless you're a single woman dating in Toronto, but
or up at the cottage.
Or up at the cottage. Yeah. But you know, like I think for me, like okay, so on Netflix, Gandhi, I don't know if you ever, but people need to watch the Ben Kingsley version of Gandhi. It's such a powerful movie. And I just started getting deep dive into that because I'm half Indian. I'm actually half Indian and half Chinese. And I was like, okay, well, I need to know my culture even more so. But I've just revisited that movie, and just getting into Gandhi's teaching has been so like, take away the hippiness of the way that sounds. He's a very powerful man. And I think he had this great statement where he said, I will never let anybody with dirty sandals walk in my mind. And I just think that that's kind of the breakdown for people is we let people define who we are. We let them,
Mm.
if they don't like us, we are more to willing or wanting to appease a bully than to appease our family who love us, whoever. And I just think that like this guy who's absolutely frail and he would lose even more weight. So this guy was not an army hero, was able to overturn the British rule in the empire with just walking in sandals and plain cotton clothes, but just this mindset. And he got billions of people in the Indian culture to follow him, but and he was able to conquer and get back India to where it needed to be in its independence without any type of physical, inkling of violence or anything like that. And when anything happened that was wrong, it's so powerful because they loved him so much that when he decided to go on these hunger strikes, they were like, no. Imagine like being this human being where we're stuck in our rooms thinking we don't have this importance. And that guy, he just had his mouth. He still had to get people to listen to him. He had only the same tools as we, if not less, because he's skinnier than all of us, right? And he was able to sort of win over billions of people to follow a movement. And it was this powerful overcoming of mind. So I just think for me, I just want to make another t-shirt of Gandhi and just kind of walk around with that. He's kind of my hero right now. Because I'm just like, how could you do that? And he had these like interesting ideas, like the Salt March, right? He's like, well, I can't necessarily, like, I know that I'm stuck underneath the British rule. I know that this is all happening, but how do I able to peacefully kind of conquer it? And he had this, because he was a lawyer, he had this thing called the Salt March. He knew that if he just took one grain of salt and claimed it as his own to make it, that was these political kind of statements were the things that were starting to strategically put him into a place where he could win over independence. And I just think that like going to you as a human being, you can find, as long as you don't mean malice against somebody, you can absolutely do some powerful things in your life. Like I'm just shocked by him.
Yeah, the thing is, I think in school, I always, lately, ever since I took a transformational coaching program, I've been thinking it'd be so beneficial if they would put a mindset course in school, like a mandatory mindset course on how the brain works. Like just like fully go into how the brain works at an age that kids can understand. And of course on neuro linguistics programming and how to reprogram the brain
language.
Right? If they put those two courses in school, I think we'd have way more happy and more successful kids. Not successful necessarily in more money, but more like happy children, because we wouldn't get stuck in this mindset of I can't change my circumstances, I'm stuck in my circumstances, so and so said I can't do this, so I can't do this, or I don't know how to change a habit for success, right? And that's usually the issue, is that we develop habits and stories and beliefs, and some of those are the ones keeping us stuck, but we don't know how to reprogram our brain to get rid of them.
Yeah. Your mind is so powerful. That's why, like, when, there's a lot of talk in the acting community about, like, well, how do I really get to the next level? Do I have all these tactics? Do I talk to a casting agent? Do I get an agent to talk to a casting agent? But I heard that was the wrong thing to do. How do I get that Oscar, And it's like, it's not about that type of thing. It's just harnessing the potential of your mind and being also an acceptance of like where you're at and enjoying like the roses around you.
Jim Fortin has a really great quote. You have to be it in your internal world first before you can have it in your external world. So if you want to be rich in your external world and you are poor in your internal world, your mind's going to keep making you poor and self-sabotaging you because that's what you believe. So it wants to please you. It's like a puppy dog. So you have to believe internally that you are a rich, abundant person if you want that in your external world, because you basically we're bioelectric magnetic beings, right? We have electricity in us. So we attract things to us that we believe in.
But also it's just a surrender of, I hate to say it, do you really need that physical thing? If you keep on wanting physical things in your life, that can happen to you. That may not happen to you, but that does not necessarily mean that you're not going to be successful. It's just that,
you have to determine what success means for you too, right?
Yeah.
Like money to one person may be success, but being happy might be success to another person. Like my brother, he was in a really good paying job, he took a pay cut to be happier, and that was success to him, right? Because in this job, he was less stressful. So he switched, right? And sometimes that's success. So it's not necessarily attracting all these physical things. Sometimes you're attracting like just emotions and things to you, or just attracting happiness, because some people are so depressed. But until you believe you can have that, you're not going to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I think the more that I live in the idea of surrender, the more things are actually coming to me, more than physical things are coming to me. But then now not needing to be dependent on physical things. Like I remember Sting said in an interview, no, sorry, it was an award ceremony. He's like, music is its own reward. And it sounds so cheesy. You're like, come on, Sting. I want the house. I want the Oscar. I kind of want all those things, right? What does that mean, right? But really, it's still like stuck to me, right? It's like, what does that really mean? And it's so true. It's like if art is your reward, whatever comes from that is amazing. But like, you really have to really center yourself as that's home base for you, or baseline. Because if that's not baseline for you, you can get so eaten up in this industry and others. Like, it's just crazy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. Just talking to different people and how their minds work. Just trying to understand different people's points of view, right? Because even in that program I was talking about, they also had another saying, if you are constantly focused on the lack, that's what you're going to attract.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting chills because like, even for me, I've decided to even just it's just really the unlocking of your mind. Nobody is perfect. And so we're all going through our journey. But if you decide to really look inside and deal with yourself, that's where the power is. Some amazing things will happen for you, and the light will come back into your eyes. I know that happened to me. I had to leave a job that I was not happy at. I was doing a lot of service work, and I'm happy to help people that I did. But it was really eating at me, and it wasn't in the arts. So I had to sort of really take up money. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to take a money cut, you know, to be an artiste, you know. As much as I was doing it, I had this really great job that could pay for my training. So I had but I was never fully in it. I could only dip my toe because I had this full-time job. And then at one point, the arts seemed to keep on pushing me forward. And I was like, well, it seems like I'm evolving into the arts. Like if I wasn't evolving into the arts, then it was fine for me to stay in my job. But it just seems like that was where my strengths were. And I was actually pushing it down quite a bit. And then this year, like I went back to film school. I really tried to know the industry. And that's another thing that I wish, when I hear actors be really stressed about things, take an acting class, like take a film class, a making film class. It will empower you, because you're just gonna understand how the team works. Like in a film crew, in a TV show, you're coming onto a team. Yes, you might be the actor in the front, but you are coming in and knowing what the gaffer does, knowing what the best boy does, knowing what a PA does is going to come into handy. Because when you're on like how many, like 100-day shoot or whatever, right? When is it 100 days? You know, like a TV usually is that long, right? But you're a team. And it becomes your microcosm. It's like I remember being on set as an extra, and the main actor, whether or not it's Bruce Lee or you know, Jamie Foxx or whatever, they come up and talk to everybody. Why? Because you're stuck in this small microcosm now, and all you want to do as human beings is just talk to another human being, you know.
Oh yeah, we had Kate Blanchett on our side. She was awesome. She'd get on the megaphone. So we had Kate Blanchett on the side of Mrs. America, and she'd come over to us and she'd get on her megaphone and she'd be like, "Oh, you people standing in the hot sun, they're effing awesome," in her British accent and stuff. Like she's constantly doing those things. Yeah, but that's the same thing, right? Like the main actors, they come over and they want to talk to you people. So.
Yeah, because we're all humans, right? And I understand. There's a moment where I was loving Janet Jackson, and for me, you know, like shows like the Umbrella Academy show was like the Mary J. Blige show to me, because I love Mary J. Blige, right? Yeah. You know, but it's not easy. I mean, everybody wants some money. Everybody wants some like popularity. Who doesn't, right? But I don't know.
I think if you're in it just for the popularity, though, I feel like those are the actors that fail, or the ones that are in it just for the popularity, because I don't think that can be a substantial enough reason of why, because this industry, there are so many hurdles. And unless you have a bigger why, you might back out, right? So if you're just looking for notability, there are tons of careers where you can get notability. Now, heck, you can go on TikTok and become an influencer if you want notability. So, right? So I feel like I just kicked my light. I feel like you need to have a big enough why to keep heading down your journey. So.
Yeah, and then you got to have a big why not. A lot of times I never said why not. Why not try something and fall on my face? You never really do fall on your face. We are humans are still looking for community. That's what we were. We're still going by caveman instincts. Like when I went to film school, I decided no excuses. I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to get the highest mark I can. Why? Because I'm here. Like, I think because when you work, like, you understand that you're earning a paycheck. So now when you're going back to school, you're like, I'm not earning a paycheck. I need to prove my worth in a way. So I was like, okay, well, I don't have a job right now. I'm going to film school. Let me go as hard as I can because that's my job. That's what I got to do. And that allowed me to achieve like a high standing there. And I could not believe it. It was like, I was just hoping to just get through my VFX class, let alone just be able to do something. And it's still like an ongoing struggle. But as I did that, that's when I found the doors were opening. People just want you to do the first step first because that's what they had to do, right? If you're wanting to get contacts, like a lot of times a lot of people, actors are saying, hey, let me break into the industry. How do I do that? Don't worry about breaking into the industry. Work hard. You know, there's still a lot of crap you have to swim through, but work hard because people see that. Like they see a shooting bullet and see it's easy to direct like a shooting bullet than a stationary one, you know. And so if people catch your energy that you're moving, you've got a script, you're working on a script, you just shot a short, they don't even care that they don't even care what short you shot, right? They're just the fact that you did it, the fact that you finished it, right? They're just like, I want to know your story, right? And that's when you start getting people wanting to mentor you. Like this Zoom, there was so many TV producers and just high wig people that wanted to give back. Why? Because they're human beings, you know? And there was so much training and mentorship. But when I went to film school, that really opened that door of trust. And I'm realizing people are just looking for their own clan. And in movie shoots, we think it's like, I'm good, I'm going to be judged. You know, I make an audition, I'm pretty, you know, whatever. It's not really like that. There is some component of how you look, right? But it's just people trying to find their own clansmen. Like, hey, you look cool. I think I can work with you. You got the skill set. We work together. We mush. And that's why you start seeing why does the same actor get used for different movies, or why does the same crew, because it really is the same crew. Everybody talks from the third AD to the PA, right? You just start bringing the same people over and over again because it's, again, people just wanting to be intimate and family.
You create connections with people, and then those people constantly bring you back, and have experienced the same thing. I've booked multiple movies with the same people or multiple shows with the same people because they know me and they want to bring me back in for something. And but I feel like you brought up a good point too that I wanted to branch out on, is that in school you get told that only like 1% of actors make it, and I hate when people say that, because who are you to tell me what the definition of make it is? Like, what if make it to me is just getting to participate in a theater show once every 3 months? What if make it to me is just booking an indie film? Like, I hate that everybody assumes that make it is an A-list actor. That may be the standard of make it, but you define what make it means to you.
That A-list answer had to hustle. I'm telling you, no A-list answer. Nobody, not even if you were born into the Hollywood system, didn't have to hustle, right? And it's like, you know what I think it is? Okay, so I used to tell everybody I wanted a husky. Not telling anybody I want a husky anymore. Why? Because when I tell people I want a husky, they say, oh, they're too much, they jump over things.
They need less exercise.
I'm like, I'm a grown woman. If I want a husky, I'm a grown ass woman. Like, you don't have to tell me anything, right? And plus, you know, I had about like close to maybe 20 cats in my house, not together at one point in time, but my cat just kept on having litters. So I know about animals, right? So I think when it comes to this, tell people what you're doing, but don't tell them your dreams. Because that's what people like to do. They like to like pee over people's dreams. I mean, that's part of the.
Yeah, they're coming from a place of their own beliefs and their own stories, right?
Yeah,
so
the challenges are fear.
Right. So they're downgrading your dream and belief because they don't think you can do it. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just that's what they have thought in their head and what they've learned and developed beliefs on. So 90% of the time, the people crapping on you, it has nothing to do with you. It's just their own stories and beliefs that they're pushing onto you.
Yeah, and there's a point of compassion for that. And the thing is, you'd have more success telling people what you're doing versus like, because people cannot argue with what you're doing. There's no way to comment on that. It's like I filmed it short.
I believe it's Denise. I hope it's Denise. I'm just basing it off your username. She just has a question that I wanted to pop in just in case she has to step out.
Yeah, let's do it.
I told my son I want to be a working actor, but I don't want all the fame and attention. He told me that part isn't up to me. Do you agree? And no, I don't agree because there are tons of really good actors that are just acting that aren't famous. So
I think what it is, you know, everybody's scared of the potential of something. It's the fear of the unknown. Yeah. But I think that's the biggest thing that screws you over, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what your career is going to be like. Nobody can tell you that. You can't tell yourself that. So it's like, and a lot of times if you get that famous, it's because of, it's never I'm unfamous and I suddenly get famous. Nobody has a Cinderella thing where they marry a prince and there's some royalty, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that a lot of times this career is built on half steps. It's like, let me go to training. Okay, after training, let me get an agent. Okay, after an agent, let me just get the casting directors to know me. Great. After casting directors, it's never, I want to act, I've got a TV show, here I go, right? It's never that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this, you wanting this career, you just need to think about the next step in front of you, and it's usually a half step. You don't need to think about the rest of it. If you get that famous, you will have a team that's around you to protect you with that. You're not going to be alone if you get that to that level, right? So you'll have people that are going to help you with that. But at this level, you also never know. There are odds. It really is a ratio game too. You don't know if you're going to get that famous to even worry about that. Maybe you don't. So basically on your question, right? So maybe you get exactly what you dream of. Like you get to have the acting career, but not all the fame. You know, it's not a judgment on you. You get exactly what you said you wanted. And there's a way to even negotiate your career into that level, right? There's so many ways to do that. So you don't have to really discount yourself before you try. I say try because nobody and you cannot edit. Like if you edit yourself, that's the most problematic thing you can do for yourself. Forget about the acting career. It's like you have this thing that you want to do to reach your peace and completion in your journey of life. Because we're just trying to live a life. Like acting is a part of it, but we're trying to live a life, right? So like if you didn't go for your dream, like if you didn't go for your dream, you would hate yourself, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too, because if you go into every audition, every job thinking, I don't want to get famous, you're going to start to sabotage yourself.
You don't know.
Yeah, you're going to sabotage yourself. Yeah. So you have to go in with an open mindset, but not everybody that becomes an actor becomes famous. There's so many bloody actors. There's so many really good actors, and you probably wouldn't know them from a hole in the wall. So don't go into everything with that fear because you're going to sabotage yourself, and then you won't get to act because you're sabotaging yourself. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work before you get that famous. Everybody has been 10 years of working.
Yeah, or you go on TikTok and you ride a skateboard and you drink cranberry juice and apparently it goes viral.
Okay, but here's the thing with viralness though.
No, it was a joke.
Oh yeah.
I just meant it as a joke.
No, but okay, I'm really passionate about this, right? There's no success overnight. It's always been a journey. So even these things that go viral have a concept in there. Even if you arrive at it within a second, it's got a very big concept that you managed to luck out on. Like I have this friend, right? Isaac Kessler. He's an improviser in Toronto, right? So a bunch of us, okay, so when the riots were happening, right, the guy who stole the podium looked a lot like Isaac. So a bunch of us were saying on Facebook, hey, Isaac, where were you? And we were saying it live time as this was happening in the White House, right? And so within about 2 hours of the White House issue, right, he made this comedic thing. He had never been on TikTok ever. And he made this comedic joke, and he has been an improviser and just a beautiful person in the community for a good 20 years. Right? Not super famous, but absolutely a strong, powerful actor and teacher, right? But he put up this video. How many views did it get? It was really funny. It got 1.6 million views.
That's insane.
I think he broke a record. You know, and so the thing is, but the video only took a couple of seconds for him to do. But he had 30 years of being an improviser, actor, somebody who helps the community. He'll jump into a show with like a new person. He doesn't care. Like, that's just how genuine. So sure, it went viral, but things that go viral, they're hitting on something that has been some sort of work in you, and that's how it goes. Nothing, it's never out of the zero that something goes viral.
Yeah, it's just funny that cranberry juice video I'm talking about has the most views on YouTube. It's insane. Yeah, well, it's just a guy on a skateboard drinking cranberry juice. But again, it's something that you would never have imagined to go viral. So that's the thing, is you never know, right? It's like the Wilds TV show took off and it became a trend on TikTok. So you don't know what's going to get picked up unless you're a data analyst and you're literally sitting there analyzing data. So
one thing I have seen for success is that the more we get in touch with who we are and are not afraid to share, those are the things that component is in a lot of the success stories. It's usually, and even like some of them make like a mental journey of like, I'm fine. I'm going to face the world. I'm going to be me. I'm going to get real. Right. Like, and that's usually, I mean, Last Morissette, right? Like, she had a very big career in Toronto, but she went up into the stratosphere when she had this moment of being like, I'm in LA and I really now connect with what I really want. I found my voice. And so now, like, everything she wrote after that was so like in tune with what she wanted to be. So it's a human journey. Like, all this fame has nothing to do with the fact that it's just a human journey. Like, all the best movies we love have some sort of human journey in it, you know?
Yeah, I think what people need to remember is when they tackle an acting career is that you just need to show up. That's step one, is just show up fully, because if you let things get in your way, if you let what the teacher said get in your way, but only 1% make it, if you let your fear of being rejected get in your way, you're never going to take that step, and you're going to walk into every audition sabotaging yourself, because there's always going to be like that back talk in the back of your brain going, oh, you're not going to get it, oh, you're not going to get it because of this. So I think the biggest advice I could give a new actor is work on your mindset first.
Also embrace the friendship. Like, come at it from a genuine place, and you're going to get genuine connection happening. And
the quickest way not to have a casting director bring you in is to jump into the industry and constantly ask for favors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are they reacting to? It's like, just like for you, right? Like, if I connected with you just for the sake of this, right? Would this really be sincere? But it's like, no, I hope when we get into like, able to see each other, that you and I will brunch together. And we don't have to have the connection for that.
We connected over the chick fight first.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, is anybody here wanting to come on and talk on Coffee Chat with me? Right? Yeah. It's the same as like walking up to somebody on the street, right? Like, you gotta think of this as a business too. Like, your acting career is basically, you're an entrepreneur. Okay? You are an entrepreneur as an actor. I'm not gonna say basically, because you're an entrepreneur. You are in charge of your acting career. Your people are part of your team for your business. You are your business. Your agent and anybody else part of your team, that's part of your company. Okay? So you have to think of it, would you walk up to somebody on the street as a business owner and be like, can you do me a favor? I know I just met you, right? Usually not. It's like, oh, can you give me a job? I know I just met you. They're going to look at you like you have a hole in your head. So you have to create relationships with people. You have to show people what's in it for them. You have to show up and do the work. And I think that's why a lot of casting directors get annoyed, because there are tons of actors that just DM them, oh, can you look at my reel? Oh, can you do this for me? Or can you do this for me? They constantly get people asking them for stuff and nobody ever offering them stuff, right? So approach this business as, what can you offer people?
There's that. I totally agree with that, because it's so true. Like, as an actor, you really got to understand the business side, because here's the thing, like, you're asking people to pay tens of thousands of dollars for you. You got to know that side of it, right? But also underneath the business is this idea that we were humans that were born from a community. We were from caveman, and we're looking for our clan. So the more that we try to build, not ingenuous friendships, the more that we just try to get to the love center of, like, the fact that that human being needs love and you need love, and it's a healthy type of love, I'm telling you, your business will grow even stronger, because now you've got these trustworthy people that are part of your clan. I think if you push for a clan, sometimes even more so than just a business team, you're going to get some powerful things happen, right? And so I think for me, like, when I got a chance to be mentored, when I got a chance to speak to different prominent people in the industry, I know that it's more that it wasn't about, it was just about just figuring out who that human being was and how their day was and what lovely place they like to brunch in Toronto. I'm telling you, you're going to get further with that than trying to say, hey, so I heard about your merger. I kind of want in on this. Why don't you look at my film Bible? I got this little pitch. Let me just pitch you right now. And the guy's like, sorry, I just got to pick up my kid from daycare. Like, people, like, a lot of the casting directors that I've spoken to, or the producers or anybody I've spoken to, they've got family life. Right now, a lot of them are figuring out how to homeschool. So if they're trying to balance, you know, plus being in the industry, which is so 100%, right? Like, there's just a humanity I've seen, and film school really opened that door for me to see all the beautiful, quiet people that are family people just trying to build their family in this industry. You know, there are the hot shooters, there are the scary people, but there are a lot of families here that are very just pleasant people that are just trying to connect, and they can see the business, they know how to talk it, but like they really will connect to the people that want to build a relation, like a, not doesn't have to be best friendship, but just some sort of sincere connection.
That's part of owning any business, or at least it should be, is building genuine connections with people, and that's how you get regular customers or regular casting directors or directors bringing you in for projects, right? The reason, like, I've had a cake business for 17 years. The reason I have regular customers is because of the experience I give them every time they come to me. So give that experience, give that connection to these people that you're asking for a job from. Otherwise, it's basically like all about you instead of what you can offer someone else.
And it's okay if you come in genuine with people and they may not receive that. That just means that that's not part of your clan. You just keep on lily padding to the people that you connect to. And again, like, going back to that idea of viral, a lot of times viral things, even if it's somebody that just did the cranberry juice thing, there was something probably just human about it. And that's why, like, even Uta Hagen talks about humor, and why do we laugh? Why? Because we recognize ourselves in somebody. A lot of times the comedy that I've done, that's just been like, let me just figure out what I do when nobody's looking and I clean my teeth. Like, because we all do that, you know, and how do I hide being at the bus stop cleaning my teeth where I don't want to look like, not like couth, right? But I got a big old fat piece of corn in the back of my tooth, right? How do I do that? That had so much more comedy than for me to think of what's the funny joke and I need to set up my line or whatever. Like, me just being like looking a little lost helps my jump thing too.
And sometimes, like, doing things on the fly and just, like, if you had an impromptu thing that you just got out there, sometimes those are the things that people like better than if you took like 3 hours to like put this thing together, because it was done and genuine and you just got it out there, right?
And there was just something human about it. It was just like, see, it can be done quickly and it doesn't go viral, but something that has like the human, like, you know, sometimes it's like I watched like everybody watches these these videos where people fall over. Why? Because it's so funny. Why is it funny? Because we've all fallen over. It's just so honest, you know. You can't like every hoity-toity thing that you have, but when you fall over, you lose all your cred, like everybody does. So they become like the most viral thing, right? Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness. Well, there's been like a lot. Does anyone have any questions about what we've been talking about? Because we are approaching almost an hour already, which is crazy.
I know. Just imagine how amazing it would be if this was brunch.
If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat, or there's like a little question mark at the bottom of your screen. You can hit on that and like put an actual question in, and I can bring it up on the actual screen for people to see too.
Yeah, have questions. We got opinions.
Yeah, change my position because my legs starting to hurt. Okay.
I'm in a yoga position.
I also want to ask you. Okay, before I forget, because I ask every guest, what is your best advice to your younger self?
Ooh, that's always such a great question. Yeah. Why not? Just say why not more.
Okay.
Just push past your fears. Like I've lived a life to the full when I decided to push past my fears and say why not? Why not try? It's been so much fun.
That's really good advice. Yeah. So often we discount ourselves. So why not you? Right?
Well, yeah, why not? Don't analyze the why. Don't analyze it. Just be like, why not? And just leave it all vague.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Exactly. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Kev says, what are you working on at the moment?
Great question. I'm working on a film short. So I've worked on it with another actress, and we just shot our own stuff. You know, I've been auditioning quite a bit, which I've been so grateful for. And it's been amazing just even being a part of the audition process, because you get to see people's creative process and you get to meet just the creative teams when you're talking to the director and the producer. These are like groups of people that have really gotten together. They're not boogeymen. They're humans just like you, trying to work towards a creative concept. And then now they're considering you to be the face of that creative concept that they've maybe been working on for years or months or whatever. So it's quite an honor, right? And then right now I just shot my own short. I've been working on a bunch of different shorts. And so the most recent one was about just siblings, and the theme is sisterhood. So we're not going for a rom-com moment. We're just going for sisterhood and something very culturally specific. Like I'm biracial, and we're dealing with an absent father. Again, that's the short. And we're editing it right now. So we've had such a joy doing it. One location, get out there in the early morning, shoot it with your prosumer stuff. And a lot of the last film I was in ended up debuting at the Carrey Film Festival. It's called Go Get Davy. Go Get Davy. And I had a small role in it, but to be a part of that filmmaking group has been amazing. Chris R. Much blessings on him, because like he really, really persevered with his first movie, and for him to now get it picked up by the Carrey. He's Irish, and he went to Toronto to sort of like build his career, and then next thing you know, the Carrey in Ireland picked him up and said, okay, let's show your movie there. And then since he got the Carrey Film Festival, the Irish Film Academy picked him up, and so now he's on that. So it's been beautiful to be a part of his journey, but also see his journey with his partner and how they produce some films. Now we shot we shot another film, and he's working on that. That's been editing. He tells me it's being edited in Pine Studios in the UK. So, but right now I'm just a working actor, just hustling and training, keeping it real.
Crazy. Yeah. Amazing. And I will, is that stuff up on like your website or your profile, or where can I find that info to put it below the replay?
They can follow my Instagram page here.
Okay.
Yeah. Lara Tai. Lara-Tai #1. It's a live place. You can kind of figure out some of the
easiest
stuff.
Place. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the easiest place for you to find projects that Lara is working on and has been previously in, you can follow her Instagram page.
Yeah.
No, that's not a question. She just says thank you. They're just saying thank you for answering their question. Oh, did you freeze?
No,
you're back.
I'm afraid. I thought there was a question.
like, oh no. Okay. I'm gonna take another question. That's fine. I wanted to touch on like one more thing with you too, in that the whole aspiring actor phrase. I really hate that phrase because it's basically saying that you're not an actor when you are.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the work,
yeah,
that's what you are.
Yeah.
So I feel everything we say to ourselves has an effect on how we show up. So if we keep saying we're an aspiring actor, it's like you basically keep telling yourself you haven't made it yet. You haven't made it yet. You're not that thing yet, right? Then you're walking into auditions as an aspiring actor instead of walking into the audition like an actor. So I just wanted to get your opinion on what you think about the words and stuff we say to ourselves and the terms that we use.
This is a great question because this is something we all kind of struggle with, right? And there's been so much talk in the business about imposter syndrome, from like heads to like the basic PA, right? Everybody's feeling like an imposter. And I'm telling you now that imposter syndrome is from the devil. Like, it's just such a lie, you know? Gotta cast it out, man. I'm just kidding. But I think that here's the thing, like, here's the cold hard truth. Are you aspiring to the work? Are you working on the work? Because if you are, sometimes people who say that they're aspiring are not necessarily training the way that they need to. When you're training, you really just don't start saying that stuff. And a lot of times some of these questions that come out, they don't really come for people who are working, and training is working. And there's empowerment in training, and there's empowerment in shooting your own stuff. Like, really, actors do not have to be victims. They have to be humble to their work environment. They have to be humble to the fact that it is tough when a TV show is trying to book whoever, but those people aren't evil either. They're trying to hustle themselves. They're trying to figure out their life and their meaning and survive to support their family. It's not like, everybody's not a bad guy in the industry. And I think starting to have that me against you situation, and then starting to describe yourself as aspiring. Sometimes saying aspiring is another way for you to separate yourself from another person. Like, if you're doing the work, you're running alongside everybody else who's doing the work. Like, you absolutely have respect when you just say to, like, I remember bumping into some prominent actors, and I said, you know, they asked me what did I do, and I had a good chance to sort of say, oh, I'm an actress, and I'm, you know, grandiose talk, or I could just say, hey, I'm a film student. So I was like, well, let me just take a chance and say I'm a film student. Well, when I said I was a film student, they're like, oh, great, now I know how to help you. And I remember an actor just completely just inviting me to things because he knew I was a film student. So he started inviting me to different, not truly crazy inviting me, but if he was, you know, like, I remember I bumped into him and he invited me, he introduced me to a producer, or because he's like, now I know how to help you, instead of having this grandiose talk and basically saying I don't need you by saying that. If I had said I was an actor, which I was, but I'm just saying that at the time I was in film school. I wanted to be absolutely true and promise what I could promise, right? I was in film school. If you get a chance, I mean, Rob Norman said this beautiful quote on the back line, which is an improv podcast. He said, when you get a chance to show who you are, you give people a chance to love you. And I just thought that was so profound. So when it comes to aspiring and working, if you're aspiring but you're working, call yourself a working actor. You're working. If you're aspiring and you're not working, then that's okay. But just know that that's probably why you keep on saying you're aspiring. So just get into a class. It's just as simple as get into a class, or pick up a camera. Like, everybody starts from what you pick up a camera, you get better. Like, everybody gets better at whatever they do. And it's not this 100% type of thing. And I remember there's this book, Gord Gertson. He used to be a pastor in a church that I used to go to. And he said, you know, a lot of times as human beings, we can only reach 60% of our capacity on our own. We need community to get to 100%. So isn't that amazing that all this pressure that you put on yourself to be perfect before you ever meet anybody, you don't need that. You actually need a community to get to your perfection, whatever. So it's just the idea of, like, why talk about community? It's something that I think we've really kind of pulled away from, and it's the very thing that's going to be our solution. So when it comes to aspiring and working, just don't think about those terms. Get into a class or work on something. Talk from your work, right? And you will feel better, and people will embrace you better. And if somebody judges you for not, like, if I said I'm going to say I'm a film student to certain people, and it's not going to be received. That doesn't matter. I didn't need them. That's great. It's selection. I didn't need so many people out anyway.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to bake for everybody or cook for everybody, right? Like, but the one person that does want to help you is going to be powerful, more so than having 50,000 friends. So, you know, it's just the idea of like connecting to who you are as a human being. I know it sounds cheesy, but the more you go inward, the more you come out outward.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. I think the last people I want to, I can't even talk anymore. The last thing I want to leave people with is not getting stuck in the how.
Yeah.
I think so often we get stuck in the how something should happen.
Yes.
And we get that put in our head that we have to climb these rungs of the ladder to get to certain steps in our career, and that's not the case there. You can create your own road and your own path, and if you are internalizing something that you want as a dream, don't get stuck in the how. Because if it shows up, you're not even going to notice because it didn't show up in the way you thought it was. I just want to hear your thoughts on that too.
The key to success isn't that big. Just think in half steps, divide your work into half steps and manageable things, and make genuine friends along the way, and know how to do that. It will solve everything else. Those two things you need to know, those will get you to where you want to go. I have so many friends that are actors that have evolved because we've been friends. Now they become series regulars. And to see their journey, so they were people that were just in the community with me or whatever. I'm getting up to, like, I'm working and things are starting to come my way too, my little half steps. But like also seeing other people's journeys, right? Like it's just people were determined to finish something and they were determined to work. So you can get whatever you want. You just got to work, right?
Yeah, you got to put one foot in front of the other and go.
Eat some cake along the way.
Right? Yeah. I'd like to think of myself as somebody who works out and eats her cake.
I had cake for breakfast yesterday. Not gonna lie, it was birthday cake squares.
Oh my gosh, did you see my post on that where I was eating cake for breakfast? I'm like, in my defense, it's carrot cake.
You did? Yeah, cake for breakfast. That's how we go.
Oh, my thing's gonna die now. My earbud. This has been great coffee chat, really inspiring. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah.
Make sure to go follow Lara on her profile. I will tag it below the replay for upcoming stuff. And if you're just hopping in and you missed the chat, the replay will be up under my IGTV tab. Oh, yeah, I just lost my earbud. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
My earbud died. I gotta turn up my volume. It lasted for the hour and then it died. So the replay will be posted under my IGTV tab where you can catch the full episode if you only caught a portion of it. And it also goes up on my YouTube channel where you can catch it there too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lara. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's going through my other earbud. I can't win with the audio. Now I can hear you again. Okay. It decided to switch to my other earbud. Sorry, thank you so much for joining me. And that's it. It's just the Instagram profile, right? You don't want me to send them anywhere else.
Who needs more?
Okay. Who needs more? Just go follow her there,
Instagram
people.
is big. Instagram is big. Who needs more than that? You can get me there.
Sorry, there's just 2 questions that just came. Films made in Canada, but so few Canadians actually in the film. What's your feeling on the Toronto market for actors, meaning there are so many? So Laura and I have to go just because we're at the hour mark, but I screenshotted your questions and I will send them to Laura, and if she has time to do a response for you, I will post them in the replay as well. All right?
Yeah, let's do that. I will definitely respond to that because trust me, I got some opinions.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Bye,
Bye, Laura.
Bye.